There are moments in life when the very ground beneath our feet seems to give way. We find ourselves wandering through a fog of uncertainty, where the path that once seemed straight now twists into shadows. Pain, loss, disappointment, these are not strangers to us. They arrive uninvited, they sit at the table of our hearts, and they whisper that hope has departed. Yet it is precisely here, in these uncomfortable and seemingly unbearable seasons, that God begins to work in ways too marvelous for us to fully see in the moment. Trouble has a strange ability to magnify itself. When we are caught in the middle of it, our difficulties appear larger than mountains and darker than midnight. But think for a moment of a seed. To the eye, it is small, lifeless, buried beneath cold soil. Nothing about it suggests beauty or growth. Yet under the pressure of the earth, in darkness where no one applauds, something begins to stir. The seed breaks, and in its breaking, life begins. Your tough situation is much like that seed. What looks like the end is often the beginning. What feels like loss is often the preparation for abundance. God does not delight in our suffering, but He does not waste it either. Every tear, every unanswered question, every lonely night becomes a thread in a larger tapestry. From the underside, the weaving looks tangled and senseless, but when the fabric is turned, the design reveals itself, intricate, intentional, and breathtaking. So it is with our trials. We see the knots and the chaos. God sees the masterpiece in the making. Perhaps you feel that your life has been reduced to fragments. Relationships broken, dreams shattered, opportunities slipped through your hands. But do you remember that the bread which feeds the multitudes was first broken? That the vessel which carries the light was once clay shaped by pressure, pressed and refined. Great blessings often come disguised in forms we would never choose. The very thing that seems to strip you of everything may be the door through which God brings you to something far greater. There is a holy irony in how God works. The prison can become the place of preparation for the palace. The wilderness can prepare the way for promise. The valley of shadows can teach us to recognize the brilliance of the light. You may feel overlooked, buried beneath the weight of circumstance, but you are not forgotten. The one who carved the stars also holds the details of your story, and He is not careless with His children. Think of gold. It does not sparkle in its raw state. It must pass through fire, fierce and consuming, before it reveals its worth. Without the fire, the gold remains hidden, its beauty unseen. Likewise, your current trial is not meant to destroy you, but to refine you. God sees the brilliance within you, and through the fire of hardship, He is shaping something extraordinary. We often long for immediate deliverance, but God's blessings are rarely rushed. Flowers do not bloom overnight. Rivers carve valleys over centuries. Even the stars themselves burn for ages before their light reaches us. If creation itself is patient in revealing glory, can we not also trust God's timing in our lives? What feels delayed is not denied. What feels painful now is often the womb of blessing, preparing to bring forth more than you dared imagine. So when the storm rages and your heart trembles, do not believe the lie that this is the end. Remember that storms water the ground for new growth. Remember that a closed door may lead to a greater one opening. Remember that every burden you carry is being transformed, quietly and powerfully, into a blessing that will one day overflow. The very weight that bends you low will become the foundation on which your faith stands tall. The mystery of God's ways is that He takes the roughest stones and makes them into gems. He takes the broken pieces and builds something more beautiful than if they had never been broken at all. He takes your toughest situation, and in His hands He will not only redeem it, but He will multiply it into blessings that touch not just your life, but the lives of many others through you. God transforms brokenness into the foundation for blessings greater than we can imagine. When we look at the journey of life, we often see moments where everything seems to collapse. The path we thought was secure suddenly crumbles, and we are left standing in the middle of uncertainty. We look at our brokenness as failure, as weakness, as proof that we are not strong enough, wise enough, or faithful enough. But in reality, brokenness is not the end. It is the very place where God begins His greatest work. To us, shattered dreams and fractured hearts seem like tragedy, but to God, they are raw material for transformation. He takes the very pieces we believe are worthless and reshapes them into something that becomes the foundation for blessings beyond what our imagination could ever conceive. Think of a piece of pottery. When it falls and breaks into fragments, most would sweep it away and call it useless. Yet in the hands of a skilled craftsman, those same broken fragments can be reassembled into something entirely new, often more beautiful and more meaningful than before. In the same way, when we feel as though life has reduced us to pieces, God does not discard us. Instead, He begins to create, He begins to build, and He begins to transform our brokenness into something that can carry blessings we never would have known otherwise. There are seasons in life when loss feels overwhelming. Perhaps it is the loss of a relationship, the collapse of a long-held dream, the silence after unanswered prayers, or the emptiness that follows disappointment. In those seasons, the heart feels crushed, as though every breath is heavier than the last. We may even believe that such pain is proof that we have been abandoned. Yet the truth is that God often allows our strongest structures to fall, so that He can build something stronger on ground that is no longer shaky. Our brokenness becomes the soil where faith can grow deeper, where humility takes root, and where dependence on God becomes unshakable. Without the cracks, we might never allow His light to shine through. Without the breaking, we might never learn that He alone is our strength. Consider the story of gold in its raw form. Gold, as it is found in the earth, looks unimpressive, mixed with rock and dirt, hidden and ordinary. Only when it is crushed and refined by fire does its brilliance emerge. In the same way, our broken seasons expose what is hidden within us. The crushing moments reveal strength we did not know we had, faith that would have stayed dormant, and resilience that only rises when all else has been stripped away. In the breaking, God is revealing what He has placed inside of us all along. What seemed like the end is actually the unveiling of something precious. There is also a strange paradox in the way blessings are born. Bread does not feed until it is broken. Oil does not flow until the olive is crushed. Fragrance does not rise until the flour is pressed. It is through breaking that increase is released, through crushing that abundance is produced, and through pressing that beauty emerges. Our lives are no different. The blessings that flow from us, the wisdom we gain, the compassion we carry for others, and the depth of character we develop often come not from ease, but from the struggles that broke us. We come out of those seasons not weaker, but stronger, carrying treasures forged in the fire of pain. When we are whole in the eyes of the world, we often feel in control, self-sufficient, certain of our plans and ambitions. But when life breaks us, when our plans fall apart, we realize how little control we truly have. That realization, though painful, is the doorway to discovering the sufficiency of God. In our brokenness, we stop striving to hold everything together by our own strength and begin to rest in the One who holds all things in His hands. It is then that He takes our weakness and turns it into strength, our emptiness and turns it into abundance, our pain and turns it into purpose. What once was our greatest wound becomes the very testimony through which blessings flow. Think of a stained glass window. If you look at a single shard of glass on the ground, it looks sharp, dangerous, meaningless. Yet when those pieces are brought together by an artist and placed into a window, the light shining through creates a masterpiece. Our brokenness is like those shards. On its own, it may look pointless and painful, but in God's design, it becomes part of something beautiful that reflects His glory. What we thought was the end of the story becomes the very part that makes the story powerful. What we thought was useless becomes the piece that allows the light to shine brightest. In many ways, brokenness makes us vessels of blessing not only for ourselves but for others. When you have walked through pain, you are able to comfort those in pain. When you have known loss, you can sit with someone in their grief with a depth of compassion that untouched hearts cannot offer. The scars you carry become evidence of survival, and survival becomes a gift of hope for those who are still in the middle of their breaking. God uses what you thought disqualified you as the very thing that qualifies you to be a blessing. The areas you thought were too damaged to ever be used are the ones through which He works most powerfully. And so, brokenness is not wasted. It is not random. It is not the end of the story. In the hands of God, brokenness becomes the foundation for great blessings. He takes what life has shattered and rebuilds it with strength, with grace, with beauty that could not have existed without the breaking. And though in the moment we cannot see the full picture, one day it becomes clear that the very places where we were shattered became the very places where God poured out His greatest blessings. Trials are the refining fire that reveals hidden strength and purpose within us. Trials are an unavoidable part of human life, and though we often pray to be spared from them, they have a purpose far deeper than what the surface reveals. Trials are not accidents, nor are they cruel punishments. They are refining fires that reveal what is hidden within us and shape us into what we were always meant to be. It is easy to see blessings in times of ease, when the sun is shining and the path is smooth. But it is in the fire, when the heat presses against us, when we are stripped of comfort and certainty, that the hidden strength within begins to emerge. Trials test what is genuine. They separate what is temporary from what is eternal, what is shallow from what is rooted deeply, what is fragile from what is strong. And though they are painful, they are never wasted, for they are the instruments through which God reveals purpose and shapes us into vessels fit to carry His blessings. When gold is taken from the earth, it does not shine with beauty. It is hidden, rough, mixed with impurities that obscure its worth. Only when it is subjected to fire do the impurities melt away, and only then does the gold reveal its brilliance. Our lives are much the same. Without trials, without challenges, without seasons that press us beyond what we thought we could endure, our faith remains untested and our purpose remains hidden. But through the refining fire of difficulty, what is unnecessary burns away, and what is true remains. Trials purify the soul, teaching us to hold on not to what is fading, but to what endures. They strip us of pride, of self-sufficiency, of illusions that we control every detail of life, and they replace those illusions with a stronger trust in God, a deeper humility, and a courage forged through endurance. We may think of trials as interruptions, as obstacles to our plans, but often they are the very tools shaping us for the greater story God intends. A tree that grows in gentle breezes alone may stand tall for a season, but when the storm comes, its roots are shallow and easily pulled up. By contrast, a tree that has endured strong winds, storms, and seasons of drought develops roots that grow deep into the soil. It is the very resistance, the very hardship, that gives it stability and strength. So too with us. Trials drive our roots deeper into faith. They force us to reach down into the soil of trust and cling to the promises of God when nothing else holds. Without them, we might look strong on the surface, but collapse under pressure. With them, we become unshakable. There is also a hidden gift in trials that we rarely recognize at first. They reveal not only the strength within us, but the presence of God around us. In moments of joy and ease, His presence is often taken for granted, overshadowed by the abundance of blessings. But in the valley of trial, when everything else seems stripped away, His nearness becomes undeniable. The fire makes us more aware of the one who walks with us in it. The storm makes us more aware of the shelter we find in Him. Without the trial, we might never experience the depth of His companionship. What once felt like emptiness becomes the very place where His voice becomes clearest and His comfort becomes real. Trials also have a way of shaping our perspective, teaching us to value differently than we once did. Before hardship, we might place our worth in accomplishments, possessions, or the opinions of others. But in the midst of trial, when those things crumble, we learn that our true value cannot be measured by what we own or achieve. We discover that what matters most is not success, but character, not applause, but faithfulness, not comfort, but growth. We begin to see through eternal eyes, understanding that the things which seemed so important before hold little weight compared to the deeper treasures that trials bring. And when we emerge from a season of trial, though scarred and changed, we carry with us treasures that ease could never provide. Patience, resilience, wisdom, compassion. These are gifts forged only in the fire. They cannot be learned in theory or taught by words alone. They are lived lessons, engraved into the heart by experience. A person who has endured hardship walks with a depth of empathy that cannot be faked. They understand pain, and because they have been comforted, they can now comfort others. Their scars become testimonies, silent reminders that trials did not destroy them, but instead made them stronger, softer toward others, and more faithful toward God. It is in the very nature of trials to feel endless, to feel unbearable. In the middle of them, it is easy to believe that nothing good can ever come from such pain. But just as the fire seems to consume gold only to reveal its brilliance, so too trials seem to consume us only to reveal what we are capable of in the hands of God. They are not meant to destroy, but to refine. They do not strip away our worth, but they reveal it. They do not remove purpose, but they awaken it. Through trials, hidden strength rises to the surface, faith deepens, and purpose becomes clearer than before. So when trials come, they are not to be seen as curses, but as refining seasons. They are the chisels in the hands of a master sculptor, shaping us into a masterpiece. They are the fire that burns away the unnecessary and leaves only what is precious. They are the storms that root us deeper so that we can withstand whatever comes. And though in the moment they are painful, though they press us beyond what we thought we could bear, they are the very means by which God reveals strength and purpose we did not know was within us. What feels like delay or loss is often preparation for abundance and divine fulfillment. What feels like delay or loss is often not what it seems. To human eyes, it looks like a setback, a door closed, an opportunity slipping through fingers that tried to hold tightly. To the heart in pain, it feels like abandonment, like prayers rising no higher than the ceiling. But in the divine perspective, delay is often preparation, and loss is often transformation. God does not work within the limits of our hurried timelines or the boundaries of our understanding. He sees the end from the beginning, and in His wisdom, He allows seasons of waiting and moments of emptiness to shape us for abundance we are not yet ready to carry. What feels like denial is sometimes the gentle hand of God saying, not yet, because there is more to be done in you before the blessing can be given to you. When we lose something dear, our natural response is grief, frustration, and confusion. We cry out for answers, asking why such pain had to come, why what we valued most was taken. Yet, often loss clears the ground of our hearts, removing what was never meant to be permanent so that something greater may grow. A farmer cannot plant a new crop until the old field has been plowed, the remains of the past season turned over to prepare the soil. The breaking of the ground looks destructive, but it is in fact the only way to make space for what is next. So too, when we endure loss, it feels like the end, but it may be the preparation for something far richer, far deeper, far more aligned with the purpose God has for us. Delay works in a similar way. We live in a world that praises speed, that wants instant answers, instant results, instant rewards. But the things of greatest value take time. A diamond is not formed in an instant, but under pressure over countless years. A mighty tree does not spring up overnight, but grows slowly, its roots deepening through many seasons of sun and storm. Likewise, God uses delay to prepare us, to deepen our roots, to refine our desires, to strengthen our character so that when the blessing comes, we are ready to carry it without it crushing us. What seems to us like God ignoring our prayers is often God protecting us from receiving something too soon, before we are capable of stewarding it wisely. There is a hidden mercy in both delay and loss. When we think of the prayers we once prayed, many of us can look back and thank God that some of them were not answered the way we wanted at the time. The job we thought we needed, the relationship we thought we could not live without, the path we thought was perfect. How often in hindsight do we see that if we had received what we wanted, it would have limited us, harmed us, or pulled us away from something greater? God's no or not yet is not cruelty but protection, steering us away from what would diminish us and leading us toward what will truly bless us. The wilderness seasons of waiting are some of the hardest places to walk, because they test our faith in ways that comfort never could. In the silence, we learn to listen more deeply. In the delay, we learn to trust more fully. In the loss, we learn to hold more loosely to what fades and cling more tightly to what is eternal. These lessons cannot be taught by books or sermons alone. They are written into our souls by lived experience. They carve into us a depth, a resilience, and a faith that will carry us when abundance finally comes. Without the waiting, we would not have patience. Without the loss, we would not have compassion. Without the delay, we would not have learned to hope. There is also an unseen preparation that happens in these times. While we feel forgotten, God is often orchestrating connections, aligning circumstances, and preparing opportunities that we cannot yet see. Just as a seed hidden in the soil seems lifeless, while unseen growth is happening beneath the surface, so too God may be growing something powerful in the unseen places of our lives. What looks like stillness is in fact progress. What feels like emptiness is often the very womb of new life. Consider how a tapestry looks from the back. It appears tangled, with threads knotted and colors seeming out of order. From that side, it makes no sense. But when turned around, it reveals a design of beauty and purpose. Our delays and losses are like that tangled side of the tapestry. We see confusion and chaos, but God is weaving with intention. At the right moment, the threads will align, and we will understand that nothing was wasted, not even the pain, not even the waiting. Loss also has a way of purifying our desires. When something is taken from us, we often discover what we truly long for. We may have thought our fulfillment depended on one particular outcome, one path, one dream, but through loss, we realize that our true longing is deeper, that our hearts were made for more than what was taken. In this way, loss does not diminish us, but redirects us. It takes away what was temporary to point us toward what is eternal, what cannot be shaken, what truly satisfies. And when abundance finally arrives, when the season of waiting ends, when God restores or provides in ways we never imagined, the blessing is all the sweeter because of the road it took to reach it. We appreciate more fully what we had to wait for. We steward more carefully what we once thought was delayed. We give more generously because we remember the ache of loss. The very experiences that once felt like setbacks become the very reasons we walk with wisdom, gratitude, and humility in the days of blessing. So what feels like delay is often divine timing, and what feels like loss is often divine exchange. In both, there is a hidden preparation, a hidden mercy, and a hidden abundance waiting to be revealed.